everybody. Welcome once again to another edition of Quick Trivia with Mike. It's the weekly game show right here on Channel 955 where we test your knowledge of facts. Sometimes they're very historical in nature, sometimes they're a little bit more contemporary. Hopefully they are all a lot of fun. I am your host and the Quizmaster, Mike Brever. You know by now how the game works. We give you 3 questions every week and challenge you to come up with the answers. The winners get their picture on Channel 955 all next week. Maybe you can be in the winner's circle and get your picture on Channel 955. Let's have a little bit of fun and get started, shall we? Sit back and relax, because here we go. You know we always begin our show now with a new tradition. Birthdays! East Castle Place birthdays of the week. And this week we've got several. On July 27th, we have Nancy Foss, who's having a birthday. On July 28th, Marion Fraley is celebrating the 49th anniversary of her 29th birthday. On July 28th, also Barbara Hill. It's the 56th anniversary of her 29th birthday. On the 29th of July, Audrey Lenz, the 60th anniversary of her 29th birthday. And on the 31st, we have Carl Hedman. So there you have it. We have 5 birthday kids this week. If you see any of them in the hallways this week or next, wish them a very, very happy birthday from all of us. Tell them you saw it right here on Quick Trivia with Mike. I also have to give you an update on something. Told you several weeks ago, I had lost my glasses. I know it may not look like it, but these are they. My new best friend in the whole wide world, Ann Joyce, found them for me. They were in the treasure chest, just as you might have suspected. I obviously had been down there, moving things around. They fell out of my pocket, but Ann came to my rescue, as you would imagine, as fate would have it. Last Saturday, I went to the optometrist and bought a brand new pair of glasses. I shared this information with my wife that the glasses were found, and I debated, well, should we cancel that pair of glasses? And my wife said, well, apparently you have a history of losing glasses, so maybe we'll just hang on to them just in case. So thanks to Ann, thanks to any of you that were keeping your eye out for it, but I've got my glasses back, and maybe one of these days you'll see me in the new pair that we just bought. Well, let's get right into it. You know we had 3 wonderful and very diverse questions for you last week. We told you a little bit about the history of pubs. Pubs, of course, is kind of a European term, a British term, short for public house. A lot of people mistake them for a tavern or saloon like we have here in the States, but really, a pub has a whole different connotation. In many cases, it's the center of a community. Serves wonderful food. It does, in fact, have alcoholic beverages, but it has many other things, and again, it becomes the focal point of the social life of a community. And you know, they tend not to have a membership. They serve beer or cider. They also offer food. They go back hundreds, even 1,000 years or more. You know, again, it's a wonderful, wonderful European and primarily British Empire tradition. You know, Ireland, Scotland, England, Wales, Northern Ireland, all of them are really, really famous for their public houses. I asked you last week, what is the oldest public house in the world? What is the oldest pub continually operating? The answer, probably not a surprise to you. The oldest bar or pub in the world is located in Ireland. the ancestral home of my family. Archaeological records have found that the walls of Sean's Bar have been around and serving since 900 AD. There also are records of every owner of the pub dating back to its 10th century founding. It opened over 1,100 years ago. That's how long pubs have been operating. This one in particular, over 1,100 years, it has been serving a vital role in the community where it is located in Ireland, and that was the answer to question number 1, Sean's Pub. Question number 2, we went back even further. We talked to you about the Great Fire of Rome. In Latin, the Incendium Magnum Romae was an urban fire that occurred in July 64 AD, and before it was put out, it consumed 2/3 of the city of Rome. Just a devastating fire. It roared for 6 days, was put out, it reignited and roared for another 9 days. I'm sorry, roared for another 3 days for a total of 9 days. Again, in the aftermath, 2/3 of Rome was destroyed. According to Tacitus, a great Roman historian of that era, and later Christian tradition, Emperor Nero blamed the devastation on the Christian community in the city, initiating the empire's first persecution against the Christians. That may or may not be true, just like a lot of things about the Great Fire of Rome. The theory was that Nero pinned the blame on Christians because they were growing in political influence and social influence in Rome and actually in the Roman Empire. So he was going to try to root them out. That may or may not be true. I'll also tell you, and this led to our question of last week, the tradition is that as Rome burned, Nero played his fiddle. And I asked you, how do historians now, beyond any shadow of a doubt, know that Nero did not play his fiddle while Rome burned? Well, the answer, Nero, while he was a very unpopular ruler, could not have been playing the fiddle because the fiddle wasn't invented until over 1,000 years later. They did in fact have stringed instruments in 64 AD, but they didn't have a fiddle. The legend actually was probably started as a way to express how ineffectual a leader Nero was by showing he did nothing as his people suffered. There were other accounts that he sang about the destruction of Troy while watching the city burn. However, these probably aren't true either. Don't know if it's true or not, but there's a rumor that he had a bad singing voice, so I really don't know. Ironically, Nero took advantage of the devastation of Rome and used the land cleared by the fire to build his golden palace and its surrounding gardens. This sparked rumors, of course, that he had set the fire deliberately for this purpose. There is no way of confirming that rumor either. So Nero, part and parcel, is deep in the history and the allure of the Great Roman Fire, or the Great Rome Fire. But virtually everything we've heard about Nero's role in that is pure conjecture. One thing we know beyond any shadow of a doubt, he wasn't playing his fiddle. Question number 3, we talked about the National Park Service, an agency of the federal government that manages all national parks, many national monuments, and other conservation and historical properties. It was formed by Act of Congress on August 25th, 1916 through the National Park Service Organic Act. I told you something very unique about the National Park Service. There actually is one president who served as an employee of the Park Service before he became president. And I asked you, who was that president? Who was that president who served as an employee of the Park Service before he became literally chief executive of the Park Service by becoming president of the United States? The answer, Gerald R. Ford, the successor to Richard Nixon, the predecessor to Jimmy Carter. Born July 14th, 1913. The only American president to have served as a park ranger. In the summer of 1936, he was 23 at the time, Ford worked at Yellowstone National Park, directing traffic, supervising campgrounds, and greeting guests at the Canyon Hotel and Lodge. He later recalled that it was one of the greatest summers of his life. There you have it. Gerald R. Ford, the only president of the United States to serve as an employee of the National Park Service and actually as a park ranger at Yellowstone Park when he was only 23 years of age. There you have it. Now you know, if two or more of you get the same number of questions correct, we have a tiebreaker. The tiebreaker is identify the bumper music that we play at the beginning and the end of the show. If two or more of you get all the answers correct, or two answers correct, or one of the answers correct, the bumper music is the tiebreaker. The music last week, it was the Soggy Bottom Boys, their famous hit, I Am a Man of Constant Sorrow. Well, we're getting a call, and I'm going to have to take a break. Well, I'm back. Normally I just let the phone ring, but this was treasure chest business, and I know you think that's important as well. I had to go show somebody through. So, at any rate, we were talking about the music from last week, the bumper music, the tiebreaker. It was the Soggy Bottom Boys and their famous hit, I Am a Man of Constant Sorrow, made famous from a 2000 movie released in 2000, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, starring the famous George Clooney. So there you have it. It was the Soggy Bottom Boys, I Am a Man of Constant Sorrow. Who was our winner last week? Well, we stumped the audience last week. We didn't have a winner. Nobody got them right. As a result of that, the Quick Trivia with Mike production team is the champion for the week, and you're going to see their picture on Channel 955 all week. Scott McFerrin and Cooper Ledvina, they're the winners for the week because we stumped the audience. I will say, and I'll challenge you, if you're a regular player but you don't call in with your answers, and I know there's a lot of you, one might have done it. So it pays to play. Think about it for next time. Now we're going to take a brief intermission. We're going to come back directly. Go get yourself a cup of coffee, maybe a donut. We are going to play the second half and give you 3 new questions for next week. Hurry back. I'll be right here.
The TV dinner, the classic, portable, edible. A well-rounded meal in a nifty square tray. The invention of the TV dinner tray is a tale of a race against time to save a trainload of thawing Thanksgiving turkeys and the ingenuity of a frozen food salesman. This is the story of the original TV dinner tray, one you won't find in your grocer's freezer. In November of 1952, the Swanson Company faced a crisis that could only be described as foul. Thanksgiving had come and gone, and boy were there leftovers. 260 tons of leftovers to be exact. The frozen food specialists were stuck with a huge surplus, and there wasn't enough refrigerated space for storage. Swanson's solution? fill 10 refrigerated boxcars with the frozen gobblers, then send them riding the rails to stay cool. But the birds wouldn't keep until next Thanksgiving. Jerry Thomas, a Swanson salesman, was well aware of the problem. On a routine call to a distributor, he noticed a worker unloading rectangular aluminum trays. Could be just what Swanson was looking for. Thomas pulled out his pen and began sketching on a napkin. He drew a rectangular 3-compartment tray that served as both a cooking pan and dinner plate. When he returned to work the next day, he presented his idea to the company. His co-workers cackled, but the Swansons were desperate. The frozen turkeys were still crisscrossing the country. So they began manufacturing trays. They were made of a durable pewter with an aluminum foil covering. Inside, peas, sweet potatoes, cornbread stuffing, and turkey with all the trimmings. The dinner could be placed in the oven and cooked all together for 25 minutes. Simply peel off the aluminum foil, and you had a complete hot meal. Now, what to call the dinner? Thomas had already given it some thought and came up with TV dinner.
Television was magic. It was something everybody wanted. So my thought was, if we could attach a food product to an entertainment medium that everybody wanted to see or have, that we might be more successful.
Within a few weeks, the dinners had sold out. People were gobbling them up, and they were actually eating them in front of the TV. For his efforts, Thomas received a $1,000 bonus and a promotion. He also plucked one of the only original trays from the assembly line as he was overseeing operations in 1952. Although it's meant to be disposable, Thomas always kept that original tray close at hand. Over the years, Swanson's has made some changes, like a 4th compartment, you gotta have dessert, and the microwavable tray. Gotta keep up with the technology. But they all trace their roots to Thomas's tray. The original TV dinner tray resides in a glass case at the home of Jerry Thomas in Paradise Valley, Arizona.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to the second half of Quick Trivia with Mike. We already know the 3 winners, or we know the 3 questions from last week. And the winner was the production team, Scott McFerrin and Cooper Ledbenup. Let's go take a look at 3 new questions for the coming week, shall we? We're going to take a look at a famous Hollywood celebrity, Bob Hope. Bob Hope died on July 27th, 2003. Born on May 29th, 1903. Lived to be 100 years old. Leslie Townes Hope, commonly called Bob Hope, was a British-American stand-up comedian, vaudevillian actor, singer, dancer, athlete, and author. His career spanned nearly 80 years. Hope appeared in more than 70 short and feature films, with 54 feature films having Bob Hope as the star. This included a series of 7 road musical comedies with Bing Crosby as Hope's top billed partner. In addition to all of his entertaining that he did, he also hosted the Academy Awards show 19 times more than any other host. You know, Bob Hope is actually credited to a great extent with creating stand-up comedy. He also was one of the first comedians to herald the fact that he used writers. He didn't just get up in front of an audience and ad-lib. His jokes in many cases were prepared, and they were done so by professionals. Ironically, if you read stories about Johnny Carson and his long reign as the king of late night television on The Tonight Show, he'll tell you that Bob Hope was his least favorite guest. He liked guests who would come on and ad-lib, you know, crack a joke that came to them spontaneously. Bob Hope came on and to a great extent, you know, was delivering jokes that his writers had prepared, and Johnny didn't really care for that. Getting back to Bob, however, he actually began his career in the late 1910s as a boxer. Hard to believe, huh? Maybe that's what happened to his nose. A boxer. Didn't last very long. In the early 20s, he already was off onto the vaudeville circuit as a comedian and dancer. That was before he actually branched off into Broadway. Between 1941 and 1991, Hope's potentially greatest claim to fame. 57 tours for the United Service Organizations, the USO, visiting our boys overseas, many times in active combat areas. He and a troupe of American or world entertainers that the servicemen would love to see would go entertain, typically around the holidays. In 1997, the United States Congress passed a bill that made Hope an honorary veteran of the U.S. Armed Forces. My question to you about the very, very famous Leslie Town's Bob Hope. We know now that he actually starred in 70 films. 54 feature films had Bob Hope as the main star. How many Academy Awards did Bob Hope win in his long career? How many Academy Awards did Bob win in his long career? That, my friends, is question number one. Question number two, we're going to go off into contemporary art. We're going to talk about Vincent Willem van Gogh. Born March 30th, 1853. Died July 29th, 1890. Tragically at his own hand. He committed suicide. He was a Dutch post-impressionist painter who actually posthumously became one of the most famous and influential figures in the history of modern art. In his lifetime as an artist, he created 2,100 artworks, which included 860 oil paintings. He was born into an upper middle class family, drew as a child, and he eventually kind of withdrew within himself. Quiet, thoughtful, serious. In the beginning, he started as an art dealer, but often traveling. He eventually became depressed, clinically depressed, as he was transferred to London. He turned to religion and spent time as a Protestant missionary in southern Belgium. You know, in those days, though, people didn't really know how to deal with mental illness. They didn't have the medications that we have now, the counseling, the psychotherapy that we have now. People were left on their own. Van Gogh drifted into ill health and solitude before he took up painting in 1881. Having moved back with his parents. Actually, one of his brothers was the principal source of income for his life. Van Gogh did suffer from psychotic episodes and delusions. He actually really wasn't as well known during his lifetime as he is now. But you know now that he created 2,100 artworks, including 860 oil paintings in his life. My question to you, let me give you a little more of the background first. Kirk Douglas actually played Van Gogh in a 1950s film, Lust for Life. You know that Van Gogh, in one of his psychotic episodes, the story is that he cut off his ear. In reality, he only cut off his ear lobe. Tragic enough, though. Michael Douglas, very, very famous actor and director in his own right, revealed that when he was young, he and his brothers watched his father in Lust for Life, and they were extremely distraught at the end of the movie. Kirk Douglas's portrayal was so vivid that they thought he had actually cut his own ear off. And Kirk Douglas had to reassure his sons that that wasn't the case. My question to you, now that you know a little bit about Vincent van Gogh and some of the tragic things that happened during his life, you know how many art pieces he actually created. My question to you, how many of those art pieces did he actually sell in his lifetime? How many Van Gogh art pieces sold in his lifetime? Our third question. The Egyptian pyramids, actually pyramids in general. Ancient masonry structures located in Egypt, a couple in Central America as well. Sources cite at least 118 identified Egyptian pyramids. Most were built as tombs for the country's pharaohs and their consorts during the Old and Middle Kingdom periods. The earliest known Egyptian periods are found in Saqqara, northwest of Memphis in Egypt, although at least one step pyramid-like structure has been found at Saqqara, dating to the 1st century. Mastaba, 3808, which has been attributed to the reign of Pharaoh Anijeb, with inscriptions and other archaeological remains of the period suggesting there may have been others. The otherwise earliest among these is the period of Djoser built, from 2630 to 2610. And for those of you Egyptologists out there, I know I'm doing a horrible job on these names. Call in and tell me how to really pronounce these. The most famous Egyptian pyramids are those found at Giza on the outskirts of Cairo. As you drive down highways, you see them, and of course air pollution from the automobiles are damaging them, and the Sphinx, which are there as well. Several of the Giza pyramids are counted among the largest structures ever built. The Pyramid of Khufu is the largest Egyptian period. It is the only one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world still in existence. My question to you, where is the world's largest pyramid? Where and what is the world's largest pyramid? Question number 3. There you have it, folks. Those are our 3 questions from Quick Trivia with Mike. You know by now you need to get your answers to me by noon on Monday. You can call me at 963-8425. You can email me at mbeaver@eastcastleplace.com. You can write your answers on a slip of paper. Put them into my mailbox behind the reception desk, or put them on the conference table in my office. But get me those answers. You know now that even only one answer correct might get you on television all next week. Maybe you'll be in the winner's circle just like the production team is this week. As always, I'd like to thank the management of ECTV, our president Tyler Gudex, our executive producer Laura Wengler, my producer and cameraman Scott McFerrin, and of course, as always, my artistic director, the incomparable Cooper Ledvina. Scott and Cooper, of course, as I said, are our winners for this week. I'd also like to thank you for taking the time to spend a half hour with me. I hope you had a little bit of fun. I know I did. I am your host and the Quizmaster, Mike Brever. Until next week, as always, please be safe, be smart, and be patient. We're experiencing a bit of a setback in our opening up with the coronavirus and the Delta variant, but we are experiencing that wonderful East Castle Place hospitality, and soon we'll be back to our normal pre-pandemic times. So long, everybody.
if I ever get back my blue jeans.